I am nobody in this world. Everything you thought you knew, unlearn it. I lost my first 100,000 within the first 6 months of living here. And there's more failure than success. Vietnam is a jungle. I will always be a foreigner in this country. Felt like whatever I touched turned to gold. In Vietnam, there's no value. They were gambling. There's very few things I can do.
To be honest, the courts here won't get done.
The taxman is always looking at me. The government is always seeing what I'm building. Legal. But to have somebody to watch my back, it didn't come easy. What the f are you doing here? Absolutely zero. And I always say no. Everybody always thinks I'm gonna invest into Vietnam. It's an emerging market. It's my motherland. Failure after failure after failure. It's over $500,000 to invest. My ass is on the line. Who's left for us to work? We're all worried. This is gonna get a lot of hatred. You're so much shorter than I thought you would be.
Yeah, man. So in today's video, I have a very, very special guest here in Vietnam that has been here for over 10 years, investing in the F&B business. He is a chef, an author, a food blogger, and also a successful businessman in Ho Chi Minh. Today, he's gonna share about why he came to Vietnam, his successes, his failures, and the real shit that goes down in being a businessman in Vietnam. Such a pleasure.
Welcome to my restaurant.
Thank you very much. And we're gonna actually go step, because there's a lot of questions I wanna ask you. So we're probably gonna have to sit down for it.
You ready?
Yes, I am ready.
Let's do it.
You ready?
No.
Hello, my name is Ken Duong, international business immigration attorney with over 15 years of experience helping foreign companies, individuals to invest, live, and also retire in Vietnam, helping many industries, especially in the food and beverage industries, from restaurants, bars, hotels, coffee shops, and other franchises as well. And today, that's exactly what I'm going to talk about, the food and beverage industry in Vietnam. So as always, we definitely appreciate you watching our videos. But last week we called to action of the 30% subscribers and we got 2,000 new subscribers. From the bottom of my heart, I say thank you very much. And this video today, I'm gonna have a very special guest that I think will change a lot of your perspective on how to do business in Vietnam, how to be successful, the real things that happen in Vietnam. So if you watch this video and you think it's very interesting or valuable, definitely you can subscribe again and be within the 30% that are subscribed, and hopefully we'll get 2,000 this week, next week, and the next week. So thank you very much, and we hope you will subscribe to this channel. So I am here at CTY Kitchen and Bar with one of my favorite F&B people in Vietnam, and just as a person, because I learn a lot, but I'm definitely sure that you'll learn as well. So let's just start off with the easy questions and then get the real shit later, Calvin. Easy question. Why did you come to Vietnam? And what have you been doing here? Just give us a snapshot in Vietnam for the last 15 years?
15 years.
Let us know. Let us know what's up.
It's funny, I came here 15 years ago for love. I grew up in the States. I grew up in I grew up in Huntington Beach, then New York, then San Francisco. I moved to Vietnam in '09 in an era when I would say it was a little bit more harder to live here than now. I came here for love. It sounds like a great story, right? You come out here to find marriage, to find love. I'll tell you this, in 2 weeks, not only did I not find love, but the person who I thought I was gonna love, we broke up. I was in a land no different than a stranger in a completely another country. Although I'm Vietnamese, I didn't know the language. I didn't know the roads. I didn't know how to spend money. I didn't know anything. And so I wouldn't say that I had to start from nothing, but it definitely was uncomfortable. And I think it was that really ignited that journey for me.
How old were you when you came back?
I was 31. I just thought about it. I was 31 years old when I came back.
31.
Yeah. How old are you now?
I am 42.
You look 32.
You look thank 32. You. I think I actually lived here 10 years and you go backwards. And then I think you feel the same way. And many of the brothers that come here, because you have more energy. You do a lot more here. And a little bit of drinking and having fun in life makes you a little bit younger. I don't know if you agree with that.
I do. I think when you're in a society like Vietnam, right, where they value friendship, they value conversation, they don't value the things that we have in the West. Owning a car, not really a big issue. Owning a big house, having a mortgage, all that stuff, it's not an issue. It's really about that friendship that two people have and putting together that time so that we can meet and we can actually build a friendship, a real friendship.
So that's what you build as an F&B expert. Tell us some of the concepts that you built, some of the sustaining, and your current concepts right now.
I would say this, most of the concepts that I built have failed,
Okay.
right? But I think it's those failures that really make those wins, those W's really worthwhile, right? So right now, we're at my restaurant, CTY Kitchen and Bar. It's a restaurant that does all-day dining, great happy hour, great cocktail program, great wine program, goes right into dinner. What we're trying to do here, and really my vision for CTY, was to reimagine Vietnamese food. So there's a lot of chefs doing this whole modern Vietnamese. There's chefs who do this, gastronomy approach. And for all of them, I really do appreciate what they're doing. I'm trying to remember the dishes that I grew up with. I grew up in LA, you're a California kid. It's not about Vietnamese food being one thing or another. Like, it's not saying, oh, bánh xèo is Vietnamese, bún bò Huế is Vietnamese, but it's the flavors, the textures, the stories that I'm trying to really tell.
How do you create the experience for them to come all day? Because I've been to CTY, actually organize an event here every Thursday for networking, and thanks to you, a lot more people have come than I really wanted. It's supposed to be very small,
Yeah.
but now it's getting like 30, 40 people. So how do you get them to come all day long from the morning all the way until the evening?
Great question. What we focus on here is experience. I cannot get you down here. I cannot drag you and say you have to come down. I don't have anything Instagrammable. I don't have anything that's over the top, the $100 pho or the $100 banh mi. I don't do that kind of stuff. What I do offer is a space that you can have an experience. You can have some food, you can have some great drinks, and you can remember the moment you walk in, the sights, the smells, the sounds, everything. The moment you walk out. This is what CTY does.
I've actually peppered you with very easy questions because I know you do this all day long.
I do.
So we're probably gonna have to take a seat, probably have a little drink, and I'm gonna ask you the hard,
Oh.
real questions.
Are you for a little scotchy scotch?
Yes, I am ready. I don't know what time it is, but anywhere in the world, there's probably somebody drinking, and it never hurts.
Thank God you're buying.
Yes.
You're buying, right?
I am buying,
Thank God.
being borrowed. So let's go take a seat, get a scotch, and talk some real shit.
All right, let's do this. Let's do this. Ken, why don't you have a seat here, right here. I'll sit over here, and let's start on this really hard talk that you were talking about.
But before you talk about the hard stuff, you gotta have some hard liquor. So we'll just get the team to get us 2 shots
Okay.
of
Neat or on the rocks?
neat.
Neat. Good.
I drink neat. How do you drink yours?
I like it neat also. How does Oban sound?
Yes,
Oban?
perfect.
Okay, great. Bar team?
Since it's actually the morning, we
Damn.
only drink whiskey, but no cigars. And then I'll take you out to steak later because you can answer some hard questions for our audience and for me and a lot of things that I want to know. First, when you first came to Vietnam, how much money did you invest? And how much was that failure cost you?
I think we should talk about the failure cost first, right? So I've probably had 8 ventures over my 15 years. And my first venture ran me 100,000 USD.
That's a big venture for a
big
venture.
Yeah.
Investment. But 80,000 went to the girl and 20,000 went to the business.
No, actually, I completely burned all my money. I didn't understand the dynamics of working in Vietnam. I think that everybody thinks that because they do business in the West, that doing business in the East, especially Southeast Asia, is going to be easy, right? You hire a lawyer, you get a realtor, you do this and that as you would do in the States, not in Vietnam. It's completely different.
So what was the $100,000 lessons that you learned at the beginning? What are a few of those lessons that you want to say? Because there are a lot of Vietkios and a lot of folks who come back here with the dream of dominating this emerging market. And I've been here 10, you've been here 15. It's still an emerging market.
It is.
So what did you learn 15 years ago that you're applying now?
I learned I'm jack shit. I am nobody in this world. What I really learned is how to do business in Vietnam. There is nobody who comes to your door every month and says, hey, give me money. There's no one who says, hey, you're on my turf, give me some gang money. That doesn't exist. This is the most capitalist society I've ever seen, and I love it for that. But there's something called văn hóa. There's a way that the Vietnamese live. It's their mindset. And how we do business here in Vietnam is not about, here's the contract, here's the price you sign. It's about the relationship. It's about who are you and what your values are. And then they, on the flip side, look at us or myself and say, What are your values? And do they correlate? The one thing that I think I learned over the last 15 years is everything you thought you knew, unlearn it. Every single thing you thought you knew in life, unlearn it. Because how we live here in Vietnam differs than anywhere in the world. And that's what makes Vietnam so amazing.
So how do you teach a 30, 40-year-old to unlearn years of education, years of experience, years of certain success levels abroad, and then try to apply it here? How do you unlearn that?
Failure. Failure after failure after failure. And I promise you, the first failure, they're gonna blame other people. It's my manager's fault. It's somebody else's fault. They'll never take accountability for the failure themselves.
What is your biggest failure? How much money did it cost you? Opportunity cost? Did you ever feel you almost lost your life?
I failed so many times. I think the media wants to portray me as some amazing entrepreneur, amazing F&B specialist. But I'm not. I'm just no different than any other person. I just try harder than everybody else around me. I would say that my biggest failure thus far, let's not talk about the money. The money's not the issue, right? The money will come and go. But I think there was a point in my life where I didn't have anything. I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. And when that business failed, there was a sense of being desperate. There's a sense of you've lost on 6 projects, back to back to back. You're living on $5 a day. I did that for 7 years. I did that. That was 3 meals and a cup of coffee. Yet I never stopped. It taught me grit. It taught me determination. Failure allowed me to see that my ego doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean jack shit. How to unlearn? Fail. How to make it in this country? Find your why. Find your reason. If it's just to make a quick buck, do it in the States. It's so much easier. But if you want to figure out a problem and then create a product or a service to solve that problem, that's true entrepreneurship. That's solving a problem in mankind. I think that's what our purpose here in life is.
Cheers. Cheers to finding your purpose. So the day you were born was a pivotal point, but then when you truly live is when you know what your why is.
The day that I was born, I couldn't choose that. I came out of the JJ somewhere on this world, and that's where my life started. But the moment that I realized what I want to do, that's when it starts clicking. And I think that's when the vibrations, that's when your whole entire world starts changing. When you can look within and say, hey, it's not about me. When you leave, and when I leave, Ken, one day, you can't take it with you. You can't take the fame, you can't take the notoriety, you can't take any of the awards, you can't take any of the assets, the money. But what you can do is, while you're still here, is try to make a difference.
So I see a lot of YouTubers, KOLs, they get on shows and CNN and then all these famous people that they're on. Then you get blown up. Then you come to Vietnam and you think you're the shit. So from my perspective, following you all these years, I felt you were the shit. But then when did you realize, give up that shit and I'm not the shit, I do what I do?
That's a really great question. So we go back to the first 7 years of being in Vietnam and all those failures. And then not taking accountability of why those failures took place, always blaming somebody else. It was when I saw the shift and I started to actually do good business. My first restaurant hit, my next restaurant hit, my next, and so on and so on. My projects started to hit, and I felt like whatever I touched turned to gold. Coming from a poor man's mentality, when you see success, you're like, wow, this is it, this is my moment. I aspired for so much. I aspired to get out of my little 100 square foot, dude, like a closet, bro.
10 square meters?
10 square meters.
Okay.
I was living in a 10 square meter, no window room. I aspired to get out of there. I aspired to stop eating pork chop and rice gum thumb for $1.50. I aspired to only if I could eat something nicer like a steak or a piece of sea bass. If I could only stop riding my little rankety motorbike and get a better one. All the things that I attained or I wanted to attain in life were all about me. And so over the next 7 years, I started to get some notoriety. The media, which I reached out with all those years back, which who wouldn't give me a chance? Now they're knocking at my door saying, hey, there's a television series on national television, do you want it? As some of your viewers know, I'm on YouTube, and I happen to be on the #1 food and travel show in the world, best ever food review show. That started to get into my ego. The city started to listen finally for my voice, and I started to get louder and louder. And at the height of all this, being recognized worldwide because of YouTube, being on national television, having articles written up, being nominated for certain awards in the culinary industry, I let it get to me. I actually allowed it to dictate who I thought I was. I go out and I say, hey, you got YouTube? You know who I am? Let me show you who I am. But I wouldn't show them my channel, because my channel at the time only had a few thousand subscribers. I'd show them Sonny's channel, because that had 5, 6, 7 million. And those are the ones that I was super proud of. And I go, oh, hey, check out my YouTube. And they're like, oh, that's great, but isn't that Sonny's YouTube? I'm like, yeah, well, I'm the co-host. I allowed that to make me believe I was actually something. And I was walking around this town, walking around the world with my dick swinging and going, look at me, I'm the fucking best. I could only imagine, for those who actually could see the truth, what they were thinking. Who in the does this fool think he is, walking into this room, being all loud, being all cocky? I know who he really is. He's still that fucking poor kid, just 8 years ago. I popped my bubble at the very height. And I chose to go back to live a life, maybe not the 100 square feet studio. Maybe you up it a little bit to 800 square feet, but I didn't go for the villa. Maybe I didn't go for the great motorbike that was going to run me 10,000. I just bought something that was good. And when you pop yourself, you climb that hill, you go against the grain, you believe that it's going to change your life. When you pop that bubble and you go back and you live a life, not because you have to, but because you choose to, I think then and only then do you start really seeing that, oh shit, I really don't need much in life. I need shelter, I need food, I need some sort of clothing on my back. That's all. And then all the other things have no significant value.
Part of being an international lawyer, and now that you have your CEO of CTY that has many concepts. So part of what I do is I litigate, I negotiate, and I make sure I protect the shit out of my clients. So have you run into some shit in Vietnam in the last 15 years regarding contract disputes, regarding partnership disputes that you can share? Because it's not all rosy?
Of course. I think one of the biggest things as a restaurateur, the biggest part of the contract is your rental contract, right? You have, I think, two choices here in Vietnam. You can work with Cá Nhân, which is like a self-owner, somebody who owns a property, or you can work with a property management company, more like a công ty, right? Somebody who's like an LLC. I've had legal disputes before with landlord. Everybody knows during that it's time to go have fun, right? So I remember one time I had my taco shop. We came into a project. It was a 3+3 contract, 3 years on, then you get 3 years extension. We did a bunch of renovations to the property, tenant improvements. In the States, there's value in that. In Vietnam, there's no value.
It's so cheap to do renovations here. They just renovate, or they'll just break it down and do new stuff.
Exactly.
This must be the pastor one.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite taco places.
We're doing business. It's doing well. At year 2, after that, I get a knock on the door. I mean, the fictitious door. It was just a text on my phone. And it said, hi, I'm your new landlord. And I'm like, how in the hell are you my new landlord? I'm in contract with the building owner. Now, this is a commercial Class A building. And they're like, they didn't say that this person lost it in a card match. Only to find out later on that over that they were gambling deeds of property. And this property is probably worth $10 million USD. I get a new lawyer, I get a new landlord. And this landlord says, hey, I don't want you moving out. We love what you do here. You bring value to our building. We want you to stay. But the terms and conditions are completely different than what you originally had. And I'm like, but my contract reads 3+3. I'm 2 years into this. I still got another 12 months before I give me my extension at plus 12%. And they're like, no, we're the new landlord. Whatever that party B was beforehand, doesn't exist anymore. And so we had to go into litigation. We had to go and say, hey, I'm in contract. There's very little that I can do. I think that you know that if there's a new party A, which is the leaseor, I'm the leasee, there's very few things I can do. What would you do in that situation?
To be honest with you, you've ever had to deal with jungle law and the diminishing role of attorneys? I've been there 10 years. At the beginning, nobody gave a shit who I was. They didn't care I was credentialed in the United States. The relationship. So I had a really hard time my first 5 years here in Vietnam, right? Trying to implement US style legal services, but didn't really understand the client, right? So in your situation, it's all about negotiations.
Of course.
At the end of the day, it's about people.
Of course.
Right? You can go to court, go to litigate. To be honest, the courts here won't get shit done.
Exactly.
And when you realize that, you go stronger in the negotiations. You build up your relationships. And you build up like your core advisor team that can cross-check. And then you go into a deal knowing what the risks are. And I think part of learning risk is about experience. You can't learn risk in a book.
No, you can't. And I think the same thing comes with Vietnam, right? I call it time to earn. You cannot just come to this country when it's thriving. Although it's developing, it's very easy to live here. When it comes to the legalities, when it comes to the local police, when it comes to the government, everybody says they can do something. No one can do anything. What happened basically was I got 2 months of rent free of charge and my deposit back. I think within that amount of money and what we made thus far was enough for us to move out. I'm glad that I did, because after that we moved over to Tao Dinh, and then we started to print money at the new location. So kind of think everything happens for a reason, but I didn't freak out. I didn't try to go, hey, but in the US my contract sticks. I'm like, I got a new lawyer, I got a new landlord now. Let's build a relationship. Why don't you come down to my restaurant? Let me feed you, let me have some beers with you. Let me see what you're all about. And let me tell you my story. And let me tell you what I need as a leaseor. At the end of the day, everything turned out groovy. Yeah.
So I mean, even though we're a law firm and I'm a lawyer, I know many of our clients don't use our services until really hits the fan. Now that your business is much bigger, you also have a lot of stakeholders.
Sure.
How do you utilize law firms now, if more than before?
Of course. So just like health, right? You don't want to wait until you have no options in life. When they say you got to either do surgery or you're going to die. Having a legal team allows me to really understand what I'm building. So I'm building a number of projects per year. So I'm probably averaging over the next 36 months, I'll probably do 4 projects a year. That's 1 each quarter, right? So when we raise capital, when we do cap calls, when we want to see compliance, I got to have somebody on my team. I can sit there and read everything. Well, actually I can't, because it's all in Vietnamese. But like you said earlier, it's really these laws that are in place are really a gray area. They're not quite clear about if 1 + 1 = 3. By the way, it just equals 2.
What? I'm a lawyer. I don't really know those. Yeah, I don't really know those numbers, man. 1 for 1, I get 3. I get 3 shots. Buy 2 get 1 free. That's 3.
I no longer am a solopreneur, right? I no longer am somebody who's just going to open up 1 location with 1 business license and just do business. I'm thinking about scalability. I'm thinking about what I can build over the next 5 years. And having a legal team allows me to focus on what I do best at, which is not sit there and read contracts or sit there and understand law.
But I'm pretty sure you have a good understanding throughout the years of experience. You can checks and balance on the legal work.
Even though I think I know something, I don't know anything. Yeah. I mean, look at this restaurant, right? This is it's over $500,000 to invest. This is not a small venture of 5 or 10,000. The taxman is always looking at me. The government is always seeing what I'm building, making sure that it is legal. You know, there's no strippers here, there's no drugs here. Although, no. Having a legal team, it's just like having a great basketball team, right? Jordan without Pippen, without Kruko, without Rodman, without Steve Kerr.
Bill Cartwright? No.
Bill Cartwright? Oh, you are old school. Is nobody. And as a group CEO of our restaurant fund, it is my ass that's on the line. So I'm gonna CYA. You're going to cover my ass, right? And I'm going to make sure that every investment, every deal I get into is seen or is looked over through a third party. There's something I've been looking at is not having HR, but having a lawyer on retainer. Having HR means there's somebody inside that has a lot of emotion, that has a lot of access to a lot of really personal information. And I don't see many companies doing this, but I'm looking at having a third party legal team be my HR. I used to have somebody inside to do the compliancy with the contracts and everything else, but to have somebody to watch my back, right? Another thing in doing business in Vietnam is employment. Not everybody understands employment law. Not everybody understands how we need to structure a government contract. We as owners need to pay out I guess it's like Social Security.
Social Security benefits.
Yeah. What's it called in Vietnamese?
Bảo hiểm xã hội.
Damn it, you're good. Damn it, you're good.
Okay, well, I do this every day. So of course, yeah, I mean, I want to ask you this because you're talking about employment many people say that, especially foreigners who come in, say it's very cheap. Look at the labor statistics, look at $400 a month per employee.
Sure.
What is the real cost of employees here in Vietnam, both the physical, tangible, and non-tangible costs?
I think the number is right. $400 for a person with skill sets. However, what a good leader does is that person gives this individual a reason to come to work, right? If it's just going to be a job where you clock in, you clock out, you can do that anywhere, right? Labor costs are affordable compared to any Western country. I think right now in California, Northern California, minimum wage is 24 USD.
Yeah, and the global or the US average is $15 to $17 already.
Let me tell you what I started with minimum wage, $4.75.
Much lower than me. I started at $7.50 working at Irvine Spectrum, 1999.
Wow. But you get what you pay for. I will say this to anybody who's looking to invest in Vietnam, money doesn't talk. As an investor in Vietnam, early stage, seed stage, you can throw money at a problem, but it will not always solve it. You can go and have the best individuals and you can pay them the best amount of money. But unless you can get your vision into their head, it ain't worth it.
So with that, as a foreigner, do you still feel you're a foreigner here, or do you feel you're Vietnamese, or cultural business identity?
Everybody always says this: I want to go to Vietnam, to the motherland. I want to go find my roots. That's
like Kunta Kinte.
Yeah, it's very Kunta Kinte. That's the most bullshit. It is the most Gen Z. It is the most media-driven terminology. I was born in the U.S. The U.S. has given me everything. It gave me education. It gave me sports. It gave me my first love, my first kiss. It gave me all these great memories. Now, I'm not trying to downplay the U.S. I think the U.S. is amazing. Coming to Vietnam for 15 years, as you heard earlier, it hasn't been an easy ride. Actually, it's been a harder ride than anything else.
So if I calculate 31 years there, 15 years here.
46, baby.
Yeah. So 1/3 here, 2/3 there.
Yeah. And even though you might see things and you're like, oh, he has a great restaurant, he has all these great attributes, it didn't come easy. And there's more failure than successes. Vietnam has made me who I am today. And I thank Vietnam for that. I thank every opportunity, good or bad, for who I am today. I will always be a foreigner in this country, no matter how I look at it. I grew up in the States. I couldn't choose which vajayjay I came out of or where the vajayjay was. That's the hard doubt to me. But what I can do is I can live a life of somebody who is part of the community. Speak the language. Speak the real language. Not a few words here and there, but really be able to get into conversation. Live a life that anybody else does. You know, not everybody gets a chance at $400 to live a life of luxury. And there are a few luxurious items in my life, I'm not gonna lie. But if I only lived a luxurious life, then what the are you doing here? If all you're trying to do is live here because life is easy, ask yourself, what's your why? Why? Because it's easier here. It's easier here than Irvine. It's easier here than Orange County. Yes, it's true. But what are you getting out of it? And what are you giving back to society? Absolutely zero.
Which brings me to another homie that says, don't be a DBH to come here. Douchebag back home. Many of the folks who come here were actually douchebags back home, and they come here trying to create this image for themselves.
I was a douchebag back home. I was a douchebag most of my time out here. Most of my time. Out of 15 years, most of my time was douchebaggery.
Okay. Do you feel the folks that come now are in that same stage, or have they learned the lessons from others who have been here already?
No. I honestly, this is going to get a lot of hatred, right? But I honestly believe.
Give me the real shit, man.
I honestly believe that people who come out here right now, it's almost like, hey, look at me. I'm being an adult. I have my own apartment. I go buy groceries. I have a bank account. For somebody like you and I, that is normal day life. I don't even put that as an accolade. You have to have housing, you have to have food, and you have to have a bank account. But yet there are some individuals who come out here, no names, and they think I'm an adult because I'm living this great life. I'm living a life in a developing country. Look at me, how great I am. It goes back to ego, right? Put them into any other country. Let's say Kolkata, India. Let's say Ghana, Africa. Let's say anywhere else in the world. Are they gonna have that same mentality? No. They're gonna be like, what the f am I doing here? But because they are Vietnamese, they think that this is going to teach them something in life. They are just taking from the life out here. And what they're giving back is this rhetoric about like how I know how things should work. I don't know about you, but I get people telling me how to run business. Does anybody ever tell you how to run your law firm? Your international law firm?
Yes. No, they come in and have other immigration firms that ask for my legal advice, and they give this theory, their understanding, the people they've talked to, their family, and then they come here, and just the same rhetoric. Yeah. I'm gonna come save Vietnam.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
save yourself first, buddy.
Right. Do you know who you are?
No, they have no clue. They have no clue. And I will say personally myself, who I was coming out here and who I am at this chapter of life, and whatever it's gonna be, they're on forward. I'm no longer that kid 15 years ago making those decisions. I saw an image recently on Facebook. A memory came up 15 years ago. I saw an image of this kid with these big hopes and aspirations and these big words about how to change and scalability and all these little buzzwords. And I felt sadness, dude. I felt sadness looking at that person and knowing that that person was full of shit. That person knew nothing about life, yet that person was willing to say and speak his last dying breath about what he thought he believed in. What a piece of shit I was. It really was. It brought really a lot of sorrow to me. And I had to speak to some very close friends and go, I feel so sad right now. What we got out of that moment, and we all in the chat room, I'm glad I went through hardships. I'm glad that I lived on $5 a day. I'm glad that I had businesses that failed. Because when I walk into a room now, I don't try to have my swinging. I don't try to put a card out and say, I am this, I am that. I walk into the room, I find the most loneliest corner, I just stand there. And people will gravitate towards me and they'll say, hey, what are you doing these days? I do this and that. I go, that's great. And so I've learned the value of myself. This journey in Vietnam and even in life has taught me who I am as a person and the value that I have in myself. I don't need other people to tell me whether I'm great or whether I suck. I know I suck. And I will continually be bad at what I do. But the truth is, I'm the very best at what I do.
And that is the Mamba mentality.
The Mamba mentality.
It's better to be hated and succeed than to be loved and fail.
That's a good one. Did you do that?
No, that's Michael Jordan.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So I'm a follower of the Mamba mentality. So I think you definitely have it. And at times, I myself as well, you move up, but it's really other people just blowing smoke in your ass. But when you really know where you are, you come back down and you just glide through your comfort zone.
You have a bigger purpose. And let me ask you, what is the purpose of building your international law firm?
The first one, to be honest with you, is make money. Money is still the value people put on society, your value. And then second is, what is your legacy? I built something, when I came back to Vietnam, was to help lawyers in Vietnam to become international lawyers, speaking English, understanding terms and agreements, how to negotiate, how to dress, and how to really close deals 10 years ago. And now the legacy of who are still the same. How do I help my employees? how to help my stakeholders, how to help my family. And at the moment that I realized I like to make money for other people has really changed my life. Right? For a long time, I just made money for myself, and you can only enjoy so much.
Yeah.
I actually ate cơm tấm for 30 days, 3 times a day. Ate 90 plates of cơm tấm, which was a $10 budget. I did that.
Yeah.
And so I can live like that. I don't really need to dress up in the suits and all that. I know I enjoy it, but it doesn't say who I am.
You know
it's how
who
I
you are.
feel.
You
I
know
know
who
who I
you
am, right?
And nothing can take that away because you earned that. You didn't self-empower yourself to be a CEO. You can't be a CEO unless you have a board of directors. You can't be a CEO unless you have actual corporate structure. People always give themselves these great titles, but they have nothing at all to say.
All right, so after a few drinks and real questions, of course, I just want to ask you a little bit more about your future plans in Vietnam for the next 10 years, both professionally and also personally. And then, kind of your goals, right? We're at the stage of legacy. We're not young anymore. We're not old. We can do a lot. Got about 20-year horizon. What do you plan to do, and how far have you thought ahead for your future here in Vietnam or abroad?
Yeah. That's great. It's just really weird, right? Because here we are as a restaurant group managing a private fund worth $1.5 million. What do I have next planned? It's funny. I get this a lot in pitch meetings. I don't know. I do know this. I do know that I want to be a voice in the world for the Vietnamese, right? So there's a lot. I used to want to take all that voice for myself, but now that I realize that there are other voices, like Peter from Anan, like Luke from Vietnam House, and other Vietnamese chefs from around the world. It's not just me, it's all of us trying to speak about Vietnam. Now I'll say this, I'm not quite sure what lies over the next 5 or 10 years. But the mission that I have right now is to bring Vietnamese food to the world and the world to Vietnam. And I want to do so in a different light. I don't want to just bring a pho restaurant to Melbourne. I don't want to bring a banh mi stall to somewhere else, to LA. There's so much more regional foods here in Vietnam that I want to tell that story. Right? Over the next, I would say, let's say 5 years, right? Our focus here at Big City Life, it's our restaurant fund, is to seed early stage restaurateurs, whether it's a woman who sells hủ tiếu on the street, but she makes one of the best hủ tiếu, and she's never thought about scalability. She's never thought about what if we can build an actual restaurant around hủ tiếu, a dish that costs only 50 cents. My job right now is to look for truly those next great entrepreneurs and great chefs. Try to get them into a system where we can incubate them, then we can seed them. We can actually build some restaurants around them and their story. When we're able to build some grassroots IP, we'll look to go internationally into some joint ventures, look to see if there's owner-operators in other cities like Manila, like Hong Kong, like Tokyo, or even Bangkok, and then license what we do over to them and then have that collaboration.
I mean, the vision on your side similar to mine, just mine's on the legal side, right? Is being able to bring international companies to invest into Vietnam, but also bring our Vietnamese companies that are strong, stable out to the world.
That could be your new tagline.
Yes, we are the world's local law firm.
Yeah.
That is our slogan. But I think your vision, my vision, and many of us Vietkiels who have been here for a substantial amount of time, I would say 10 years plus, 20 or 30 years, they've been implementing the vision, they've been focused, they've faced the turbulence, and they're still here.
Yeah.
But yet, I still see that they're very optimistic about the next 10 to 20 years of Vietnam. How is your level of optimism on the growth of Vietnam in the next 10 to 20 years?
Great question. Although I am no expert, but I will say this. As an investor of Vietnam, I have very strong concern about the next generation of employees with individuals who can drive for an app. In the US, it's Uber. In Vietnam, it's Grab. And there's a few other ones. But you need very few skill set to work for a driving app. Instant money, it's work your own hours. And so the next generation of employees, the next generation of the people that we're trying to build right now, they are quite finite. And as a early stage investor, which shares the span with other private equities and family offices, we're all worried. Because if they're going to take factory jobs, if they're going to take these jobs of working for apps, or if they want to go and open up their own place, who's left for us to work? So I have a big concern about that. I don't see Vietnam overturning Singapore as the #1 country in Southeast Asia when it comes to GDP, when it comes to export, and all that good stuff. But I will say that Vietnam's on a good trajectory to give individuals opportunities to truly make it for themselves. Now, making it for themselves can be $100 a month, $500, $1,000. I mean, it ranges. A lot of people want to invest in Vietnam, and I always say no. Because once you get your money over here, how do you get it out? You can put a shell company in Singapore, but the government's not going to let the money go quite easily.
That's why you need expert legal advice like myself.
That's right.
On cash flow control.
That's right.
But that's definitely true. Right? How to get the money back out.
Everybody always thinks, I'm going to invest into Vietnam. It's an emerging market. It's my motherland, and I'm going to make a bunch of money. What happens when you lose a bunch of money? I lost my first 100,000 within the first 6 months of living here. That was a big chunk of my cap. It's not a place for the weak. Vietnam is a jungle. You got to go for the juggler every time. And is that how you want to live your life? Is that you always want to be on that offense and defense, or do you want to go stay in some suburban city in America and live there? It's a great place to invest in, but please understand what the why is. Why do you want to do it? I don't know how much pitching you get, but I get pitched all the time. And it's just, they try to take what works in America, what they think works in America. They try to bring it to Vietnam at an early stage. They think that they're going to change the world.
Right.
They have no clue how to do business. But I think that's what legal advice does.
One thing I want to talk about mentorship. You know, when you came back, did you have mentors? Do you have mentors now? And do you mentor? Or if you do, how do you identify who to mentor?
Great question, right? So I didn't have a mentor when I came out here. I had the homies, but the homies had no, they had different values about what was important to them. And those are the times that was important to me too. I never had a mentor in my life. I've never had a mentor here in Vietnam, and I've never mentored anybody else. I don't think that I'm a mentor. What's that? Not capabilities. I don't think I'm mentor material. Straight up. I can give somebody 5 minutes of my time. I can give them a strong 5 minutes, and I can change their life. But it's up to them to make the life changes. I don't understand this mentorship thing. I really don't get it. Like, so do I tell some kid, hey, don't f*** up and work your ass off, and they're gonna hate me for life because I was real with them?
No, that's just an advisor. You hit it and quit it. You just give it to them, and then they do whatever they want with it. Yeah. If they're successful, they won't thank you. If they fail, they're gonna blame you. Yeah. So that's just really advising. But mentorship, either you influence them and people change and you never know about, and you just don't care. You live your life and people will follow you. To be honest, I mean, you're not my mentor, but you're a big influence in my thoughts about running businesses. I actually told my F&B team, very small, right? I love the way that you run the business, right? You're both macro with the investors and the big picture, but you're actually extremely micro as well. So the one example I saw, you tell the staff exactly what they should do, especially with washing your hands. Something I caught that, and I really appreciate it. And I went back and I started looking at my staff. I have like 4 staff in the retail business, right? Yeah. And I was just watching. I was like, okay, I think that really helps you separate you from other businesses, and it helps you live your life the way you want to live. Yeah. Attention to detail.
I'll give you another little tidbit here, whether you use it or not. It's fine. When we looked at what our business could be versus just a one outlet, food and beverage, some events, I started thinking about a larger scale, right? So I initiated a high five policy. Let me see if it works or not. High five. I just put my hand up right here, and we do high five.
Awesome.
Right? I high five everybody when I come into the restaurants. And we have multiple restaurants, so it's a high five. It's just for me to say thank you to you. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for being here right now. Just high five. And then when you do something wrong, like you heard earlier, something broke. I'm not gonna go down and say, hey, that shot glass cost me 50 cents, therefore I'm gonna deduct it. I want accountability. I want somebody to say, oh, dude, my bad. Yo, my bad, dude. Like it happened, my bad. You'll see if you stay here long enough, you'll see things happen. I just look. We all just look. And they go, oh, my bad. And that's it. I don't hold it against them. I don't say, oh, you're such a bad person. Hey, shit happens. This is what my P&L's for. But be accountable. The last thing I want to do is to have somebody break something and then hide it. Only for me to find it 6 months later, go, oh, we got a scale. Where'd that come from? You turn it on, oh, it's broken. Did it come broken? What's the backstory? I don't want to hear it. I want to hear, oh, dude, you know what? I put too much weight on it. Hey, it broke, man. My bad. Now, if it keeps happening, the problem is on you. It's not the machinery. And I'm different than other CEOs. You know, I wear sneaks, I wear T-shirts. But when I sit in that boardroom and I sit with other intelligent people, you can't pull one over me. Right? And I think that's, like you said earlier, a gangster in a suit, the hood in the suit. You know, you can wear whatever you want, but it's because we have that time to earn in our occupation, in our specialty, in our realm, that allows us to just, I can be super chill, but I will call you when I see a lie.
Well, with that said, I don't wear suits all the time. When I go home, I wear shorts and a t-shirt, just like everybody
you wear
else.
a short and t-shirt that's just like a suit. I can't imagine you in
It's a
any
print
like
of a suit.
Yes, it's a print of the suit on the t-shirt.
But only on the practical side, because I can't run, jump, and fight and wrestle my son in a suit because the pants are way too tight. I've split many pants because of that.
Okay.
But with that said, buddy, we're gonna stand up just because I gotta.
Oh, my back.
You know, let us know we're old.
Dude, thank you for your time today, and thank you for allowing me to just speak my mind. I know that what I said to a lot of people might be concerning. It might not follow. Yeah, controversial. But this is who I am. This is who I am on screen and off screen. You know me for a number of years. This is who I've always been. I don't try to build a character just for the camera. I want you to remember one thing. Remember who the you are. These followers, these people who subscribe to you, they're great. But they're there for you. They're not there for anybody else but you. Remember that you have a responsibility for what you say and how you say it. You are responsible for being yourself in front of them to change their lives.
And that is the reason why you have other folks that we talked about on this program as well, interview their interesting lives, their stories, the real perspective. And I think this is the interview that I feel the most, what we call real talk, real shit. And we're gonna continue this because I want to talk to real people. Yeah. I don't want to talk to on the fluff and interview about the basic questions. We want to go, why are you successful? Because you failed. Yeah. And I want to know why you failed. And thank you so much for sharing both your successes and your failures. So with that said, thank you very much for watching this video. And anything you want to say to our audience at Young Global, Calvin?
Oh, if you happen to be here in Ho Chi Minh City, please come by C2Y and allow us to cook for you. I'm always in the kitchen. I'm always at the restaurant. I'd love to say hi. I'd love to show you the Vietnamese food that I know.
All right, brother. Thank you so much.
In audio.